Welcome to another episode of Sitting with the Sheriff. I'm your host, Saba Long. It's been a while since you've seen us, and so today I brought with me some special friends, Chief Rhonda Anderson and Chief Michael Register. Thank you both for joining us today for another episode of Sitting with the Sheriff.
Glad to be here.
Glad to be here.
So you'll notice that we're all wearing pink. Unfortunately, I didn't get the cool pink uniform, but I tried to do a little something. You know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so for that, I wanted to talk to you, Chief Rhonda, because you are a survivor of breast cancer, and this has been a fight for you and in your family. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on in the Sheriff's Office, just tell us a little bit about your journey fighting breast cancer.
My journey happened about 13 years ago. I'm a 13-year survivor. I was diagnosed in August of 2007, and it was a shock. You go to your doctor's office and they tell you have breast cancer. You cry for 15 minutes and you said, okay, what's next? What
Only
do we do
15 minutes?
That's all it took. I knew it. I had 2 young children at home at the time, 14 and 16, so I had to be a mom. So I just buckled up my bootstraps and decided, okay, what do we do next? Chemotherapy and radiation, and I worked the whole time.
Wow.
At the Sheriff's Office. The whole time I was going through chemo. I'd go to my chemo and radiations in the morning, whatever the schedule was, and I'd come back to work. And it was a struggle. It was harder, I think, on my family. My children were nervous, but they survived, and we all survived, and I'm still here.
That's great.
Yeah.
That shows some tremendous strength on your part. Now, imagine someone is watching this, and they may have just received that diagnosis, and they might take more than 15 minutes to cope with it. What do you say to them? How do you help them? What would you say for them to kind of get through the hard parts of that journey?
Whatever their higher power is, I would draw on that, because I prayed a lot, and my prayer was not for me. It was for my children. If something happened to me, what? So I just say that they draw from their higher power and their friends. Don't shut anybody out. If you need help, ask for help.
That's an important tidbit.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we deal with something difficult and don't want to put that burden on someone else too.
Exactly. But you need every friend, family member to help out, because there's sometimes you're going to be tired and you can't do it all. So you need that support, good support system.
Thank you. And then what about that person who says, oh, I know I should have had the mammogram, but I can keep putting that off. What would you say to that person to get them to go to the doctor?
Don't put it off. If you don't do it for yourself, do it for your family.
Thank you.
Always get your mammograms every year.
That's great advice. Thank you
Absolutely.
for sharing that story, for being vulnerable and helping someone through something that we never want to hear the C word. That
No.
is a very difficult word, but thank you for sharing your story with us today.
You're welcome.
So now we'll talk a little bit about what's going on in the Sheriff's Office. I'm going to keep the spotlight on you, if that's all right.
That's fine.
Okay, so Chief, you have a lot of responsibilities at the Sheriff's Office. One of them is the detention center. That's
Yes.
under your purview. Now, the Sheriff just announced that the detention center will have 24-hour mental health access for detainees. That's something that has never happened, and in fact, Cobb is the first and only Sheriff's Office right now in the state that provides that service. Tell us a little bit about why that was important for you all to implement.
Well, in this day and time, there's so many people being arrested, and a lot of those individuals have mental health issues. The state has closed all their facilities, and they're not getting the treatment they need, and they end up at our jail or any jail in the state of Georgia. And we need people that professionals there 24 hours a day that can address those issues and identify if those people are going through some type of mental health crisis. And it's imperative that we have people there that can address those issues and immediately and get those people the help that they need.
And so what does it take to go from what you had previously to implementing 24-hour service? I know, I'm sure it's a lot more money,
Yes.
right? But what does that mean for the staff? How do you help the detainees know that this is available to them?
We're going to get that information out to all the detainees. That goes in effect November the 15th, and just a couple of weeks away. So we'll get that information out to them, and the staff that's going to be there 24 hours a day, handling those situations. And I know it's going to be a big burden on personnel, but that's something that the sheriff has decided that we're going to take on. But there's so many people out there that need help, and the state facilities are closed, so we have to handle what we're given. People are walking in our doors on misdemeanor offenses every day, but those people are there because they have mental health issues.
So the point of this is hopefully if they are booked, they get the treatment that they need, and then they don't have to ever go back to the jail again.
Hopefully not. And we're also should have we're going to implement a discharge planner, right, so they can have, once they leave our facility, there's someone that's going to follow up and make sure they get the care that they need outside of the jail.
That's tremendous. So not only are you providing 24-hour access, but even once you leave before you leave the jail, you have a discharge planner that gives them a plan so that when they leave, they know what to do, where to go, how to get the services.
How they get their medications that they've been getting while they're at the jail, who they need to contact once they leave the facility. So no one drops the ball and they go back out there and end up back in our facility.
That's great. So Sheriff, I'm going to skip over you. I'll come to you a little bit
absolutely.
later. So Chief Register, you're, while people may not have seen you on camera on the show, you're no stranger to the show because you're always behind the scenes helping direct the show. So Chief, one of your responsibilities and kind of interest areas is technology within the detention center and across the Sheriff's Office generally. So give us an idea of what are you working on technology-wise in the Sheriff's Office?
Well, you know, for the last several months, we've been looking at different technology capabilities that we can implement across the whole spectrum, but specifically the government complex and also the jail detention center itself. When you look at the, as you're aware, you know, one of the core missions of the Sheriff's Department is the protection of the government complex, the government buildings that's located in the city of Marietta. That's where you have the district attorney's office, you have the various court systems, etc. And so we're using various types of technology or implementing that to help us, you know, create a more safe environment to protect, you know, the judges, various elected officials, our employees, and also the citizens that come to the various government complex buildings, you know, during the day and during the week to do various business.
So are these like security upgrades? What are the technology?
It's a variety. It's everything from cameras to rapid ID capabilities that we're going to have that's going to help us monitor the activity that goes on around the buildings, but also the interior of the buildings. And when you integrate that, you know, we have personnel that's assigned there. When you integrate their operational capabilities and the operational protocols with the new technology, it's going to help us really take our ability to protect the various buildings to a new level. The same thing at the detention center. Looking at various technologies out there to help us maintain the security of the detention center, the security of the inmates, and also enhance the safety of our employees as they come to work and they leave work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a win for the public, a win for the staff, and a win for the detainees.
Oh, certainly, certainly. Just bringing it to the next level.
Got it. And another thing, this was a demo that I believe the Sheriff's Office did a few months ago, something called AID,
Yeah.
AID.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that. Is that something the Sheriff's Office is going to now implement across the agency?
The sheriff's always looking for various technologies to help either enhance our efficiency, effectiveness, or our safety, and certainly he has purchased AID. It stands for Automatic Injury Detection System, and it is a system, electronic system that the deputy and our sworn personnel will actually wear on their body, and if there's a puncture or blunt trauma and the deputy becomes incapacitated, which that's very important, it will actually alert radio, not only to the incidents occurred, some type of puncture or blunt trauma, but it will also tell us where the injury occurred on the deputy's body, and also the location of the deputy. And as I said, if the deputy, because of the injury, becomes incapacitated, then it alerts us and helps on the way. And that certainly will enhance the survivability of our deputies.
Got it. And the neat thing about that is you get a text, and the text will literally say, Chief Register has a puncture wound or something to his left torso. He's located at 185 Roswell Street.
It will alert other members of the team, it will alert the supervision, but it will also alert the radio, our communications room, and immediately they can implement a response protocol that we have in place for
That's
that.
great. Well, we obviously hope that we don't have to test the technology.
Absolutely.
But it's great that that's there, just given, you know, everything that's going on in the region and the county as it relates to public safety, knowing that those officers and our deputies have that access to something that will get help to them even faster.
Oh, certainly, and I think it also demonstrates the sheriff's commitment to doing what he can to overall improve the work environment that our personnel, both sworn and non-sworn, work in.
Got it. Thank you. And now, Sheriff, the spotlight is on you.
Finally, right?
Finally. Well, it's always on you, even when you don't even see it.
But I'm glad we had these great two leaders here with me today. So it's a great opportunity to everybody to see who's behind the scenes, as you say, who's making the sheriff's office work just as much as I am. So have to give much credit to these two sitting beside me today, my left and right.
Yeah. So, Sheriff, we've heard about some great things happening. There's so much going on in the sheriff's office. There are a lot of things that come your way that you need to figure out how to prioritize. So just tell us a little bit about that. How do you determine, you know, over the course of your first year, over the course of next year, how do you determine what to prioritize?
Well, it's a process we go through. We have sync meetings with me and my executive leaders, and we sit down and prioritize our projects as the year come about. And then we all have input, and then we take the input, I listen to everyone's input, and then we make the best decision off of everybody's input and select the ones in priority that we should proceed forth with them. So it's a group effort. Of course, I have the final, but I don't always make the final decision. I have two great leaders beside me who you see beside me today, who is instrumental in me making those decisions, along with the rest of my staff as well.
So you're an executive, not an emperor.
Correct. Exactly.
All right, great. Give us an update on, you talk a lot on the show about what's going on with community engagement, what's going on in communications. So just give us an update since the last time we taped, what's going on in the sheriff's office.
Well, our community engagement unit is extremely busy, and that's a great thing. They always work out in the community. They have not stopped, and we're not going to allow them to stop. So I think we're earning back the respect of our community, and with their help, we're gaining that momentum real quickly. And so they're working on several projects from our local churches to our Boys and Girls Club to other civic groups as well. We've been participating in a lot of activities the last month. The 1,000 flags that was placed out at the National Cemetery, we participated in that.
You just also had Faith in Blue.
In the Faith in Blue, which is just ended, we participated in that. So we've been extremely busy, and we're going to continue to push forward and work as hard as we can in the community.
Now, Faith in Blue is something that might be a little different for folks, right? So
Right.
the name kind of explains itself. It's faith leaders and law enforcement. Why is that? Why was that important for you to participate in?
Well, even as I ran for office, I wanted to make sure we had a good working relationship with our faith-based community. I think it's critically important we have that. And so we really never stopped it since I've been in office here. And this last week gave us opportunity to highlight the relationship that we've grown and built with our faith-based communities. So we have several activities that went throughout the week, from a march to having a lunch to having a virtual reality town hall type show. Just a great week for us to everyone to understand the relationship that Cobb County Sheriff's Office, as well as all other law enforcement officers, has built with their faith-based communities.
Right, and that's a partnership. The Cobb Sheriff's Office is participating. Cobb Police Department is also participating
Yes.
in that, or
Right.
participated in that, I should say.
Right. Right? It's
That's great.
a total law enforcement effort
That's
across the
great.
board. Yes.
Anything else that you want to update us on before we wrap up?
Well, I just want to let everybody know that we here at the Cobb Sheriff's Office are working extremely hard. As you highlighted in the beginning, we've one of the first to be the leader in mental health care, I like to say, in the metro, if not the state of Georgia, with this new 24-hour mental health care, which I think is a phenomenal thing. As well as we're moving forward to bringing some other new units into our agency, which I think is going to enhance the overall safety of our community. We're looking at bringing a mounted horse unit into the Sheriff's Office, which I think is going to be a great new division for us to have as well. And we're always looking at new technologies you highlighted as well to make us safer, and not only our deputies, but our community be safer as well. And we're doing a lot of improvements at the jail, / detention center. We're spending a lot of money to get it up to standard, to exceed the standards and be one of the best in the state, if not the nation. So we're forever working on to making this the best sheriff's office in the state of Georgia, and we won't stop until we get there.
Got it. Well, thank all three of you for being on the show today. Before we wrap up, I will kind of go to the camera and let you all know we will be launching, the Sheriff's Office will be launching a mobile app, and you will be able to go on your phone for Android or iPhone, which is obviously better than Android, and download that app. You'll get notifications. So if there's something going on in the community, say there's a roadblock because of a traffic accident, or if there's a BOLO, there's someone that's there's a warrant out for them and they're a dangerous individual, the Sheriff's Office can notify you and let you know that that is happening. We're so excited about this app. It's going to be a great opportunity for the community to know what's going on in the Sheriff's Office, to better communicate with the Sheriff's Office. So stay tuned for updates on when and how you can download that app. Again, as always, thank you so much for joining us for yet another episode of Sitting with the Sheriff. Always, if you have questions you want me to ask the sheriff or parts of members of his team, email us at media@cobbsheriff.org. Thank you again.